Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Have you ever looked at your life, at your resources, your talents, or maybe even just the energy you have left at the end of the day and thought, this isn't enough? It's a feeling we all know. We look at a huge goal, a big dream, or a serious problem, and then we look at what we have in our hands, and it just seems so small, so insignificant. We think, how can I possibly make a difference with this little bit? If you've ever felt that way, then today's message is for you. We're going to dive into one of the most incredible stories ever told, a story that shows how the little we have can become more than enough when placed in the right hands. Let's journey back about 2,000 years. Imagine a vast, open hillside near the Sea of Galilee. The sun is starting to dip lower in the sky, painting the clouds in shades of orange and pink. A massive crowd, thousands of people, men, women, and children, are gathered there. They've been listening to Jesus teach all day long. They were so captivated by his words of hope, healing, and love that they forgot about everything else, including food and the time. Now their stomachs are rumbling. They're far from any town, in a remote place, and a sense of unease begins to ripple through the crowd. Jesus' disciples, ever practical, come to him with a problem. They say, "This is a remote place, and it's already getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go to the villages and buy themselves some food." It was the logical solution, right? Let everyone fend for themselves. The disciples saw the huge need, thousands of hungry people, and they saw their complete lack of resources. In their minds, the problem was too big, and their ability to solve it was zero. They were in a state of scarcity. But Jesus looks at them and says something that must have sounded completely absurd. He says, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." Can you imagine what they were thinking? Us? We feed them? Are you serious? Philip, one of the disciples, quickly does the math. He says something like, even if we had 8 months' wages, it wouldn't be enough to buy just a small bite for each person here. He saw the impossibility of the situation. He was focused on the lack, on what they didn't have. This is so relatable, isn't it? We often do the same thing. We face a challenge, and our first instinct is to calculate all the reasons why it's impossible. We tally up our deficits. Not enough money, not enough time, not enough experience, not enough connections. We, like Philip, conclude that the task is too great. But then Jesus does something interesting. He doesn't magically produce a feast out of thin air. Instead, he asks a simple question: what do you have? He turns the focus away from what they lack and onto what they possess, no matter how small. Another disciple, Andrew, speaks up. He's found a young boy in the crowd. "Here is a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish," he says. But then he quickly adds, almost dismissively, "But how far will they go among so many?" Think about that for a moment. 5 loaves and 2 fish. This wasn't a banquet. Barley loaves were the food of the poor, small and simple. This was probably just a boy's lunch, maybe all he had for himself. To Andrew, and likely to everyone else, it was laughably inadequate. It was nothing, a drop in the ocean of need. How often do we look at our own 5 loaves and 2 fish, our small talent, our modest savings, our little bit of free time, and say the same thing? What is this among so many problems? What difference can my little contribution possibly make? We devalue what we have because it seems insignificant when compared to the size of the need. But here is where the story turns. Jesus doesn't laugh. He doesn't dismiss the boy's offering. Instead, he says, "Have the people sit down." He takes the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. He looks up to heaven, gives thanks, and breaks them. Then he gives them to the disciples to distribute to the people. And then the miracle unfolds. The disciples start passing out the food, and it doesn't run out. They go from person to person, and the baskets are never empty. Everyone eats. Not just a small bite, as Philip had worried about. The Bible says they all ate and were satisfied. They were full. Thousands of people fed to contentment from a boy's simple lunch. But the story doesn't even end there. After everyone has finished eating, Jesus tells his disciples, "Gather the pieces that are left over. Let nothing be wasted." So they went around and collected the leftovers, and they filled 12 baskets of leftovers. They started with 5 loaves and 2 fish, which could probably fit in one small bag, and they ended with 12 full baskets of excess after feeding a crowd of over 5,000. What an incredible picture of abundance. This story is so much more than just a historical account of a miracle. It's a profound lesson for every single one of us. It's a lesson about scarcity versus abundance, about faith versus logic, and about the transformative power of placing what we have into God's hands. So, what are your 5 loaves and 2 fish today? Maybe it's a small skill you have. You think you're just okay at it, not an expert. Maybe it's a small amount of money you can spare. It doesn't feel like enough to make a real dent in a big cause. Maybe it's an hour of your time each week. What can you really accomplish in 1 hour? Maybe it's just a kind word, a listening ear, or a simple prayer for someone. We so often hold back because we feel what we have to offer is not grand enough, not perfect enough. We compare our humble lunch to the world's massive hunger. The miracle of the loaves and fishes teaches us that God doesn't ask for what we don't have. He asks for what we do have. He invites us to bring our small, seemingly insignificant offering to Him. The little boy didn't have a feast to offer. He just had his lunch, but he was willing to give it. That willingness, that act of surrender was the key. When we hold on to our resources, clinging to them out of fear that they aren't enough, they remain just that, a small lunch that can only feed one. But when we release them, when we offer them with a spirit of trust, that's when the multiplication happens. It's not about the size of our gift. It's about the size of the God we give it to. He is the one who does the multiplying. Our job is simply to be willing to open our hands and offer what's in them. Think about your own life. Where are you operating from a mindset of scarcity? In your career, do you feel you don't have enough talent to move up? In your relationships, do you feel you don't have enough patience or love to give? In your community, do you feel you don't have enough resources to make a change? This story challenges us to shift our perspective. Instead of focusing on the deficit, let's start by asking, what do I have? Acknowledge it. Don't dismiss it. Then, the next step is crucial. Offer it. Whether it's in prayer, through action, or both. Say, God, this is what I have. It's not much, but it's yours. Use it. And watch what happens. That small act of kindness you show a co-worker could ripple out and change the entire office atmosphere. That small, consistent monthly donation could combine with others to fund a life-changing project. That hour you spend mentoring a young person could set them on a path to success you could never have imagined. God takes our ordinary and makes it extraordinary. He takes our natural and infuses it with His supernatural. The 12 baskets of leftovers are also significant. They show that God's provision isn't just enough. It's more than enough. It's overflowing, abundant, and extravagant. When we partner with Him, we don't just scrape by. We experience a level of abundance that leaves us with leftovers, a surplus of blessings that can then be used to bless others. We become channels of a never-ending flow of grace and provision. So today I want to encourage you. Stop looking at the size of the crowd, the size of the problem. Look instead at what is in your hand. Don't despise your 5 loaves and 2 fish. Don't disqualify yourself because you think your contribution is too small. Be like the boy who was willing to give up his lunch. Take that step of faith. Offer what you have with a thankful heart and trust that in the hands of a limitless God, your little can become much. Your not enough can become more than enough. That is the miracle, and it's a miracle he still performs today in and through each of us. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. If this message resonated with you, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What are the 5 loaves and 2 fish in your life that you can offer today? Let's encourage one another. Until next time, take care and trust in the miracle of multiplication.